Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Create Your Life series, where we help you maximize your potential and results in the area of personal development, entrepreneurship, and travel. And I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown.
Create your life.
Crée ta propre vie.
Create your life.
创造你的生活。
Create your life.
Crea la tua vita.
Create your life.
Ontsteek jou lewe.
You better create your life.
Create your life.
Create la vie.
Create your life.
Create your life.
Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown. So happy to be here with you. It's a beautiful Sunday, happy and humbled. Man, how is everybody's summers going? And, how are things rocking out for you? Realistically, or more definitively, how are your goals going for the summer? Or have they halted because you're seeking fun? Listen up, Create Your Life series family. I'm going to tell you something that's going to help you. And, you can work towards your goals and have fun in the process of achieving them. I know it sounds gimmicky, but it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And, while it's good to vacate our daily routines and chase all the fun that the summer has to offer, especially in New York City, because it's such a short period of time. We got to find a way to incorporate fun into the process of going after your goals. And as you know, I am doing my 30-day goals challenge right now and actually have 3 more days left. And I can personally attest to the reality and the fact that, man, I have been stretched to the new levels, as far as submitting proposals and really making sure that I'm getting daily touches. And actually something specific on my goals challenge was to listen to at least 30 podcasts or YouTube videos that were in my industry. And achieving that has just started a trend and actually taken my mind to another level. So I definitely want you to know that. And I've been able to achieve all of this because of my accountability partner, and we've just been working together and keeping each other accountable, but even pushing the envelope, I found ways to pursue having fun as well. I've gone to Google trainings and leaderships and informational program sessions where I've made friends and, have found guests for the show as well. And this is even with the presenters and just other people. We went out and hung out after the programs, had meals. And last weekend, I even gave a speech in the Hamptons for the United Negro College Fund fundraising benefit. And actually there I did cut open my hand, my pinky finger on my left hand. So I cut that open and I spent a few hours in in the ER, as a matter of fact. Ran out with 4 stitches, but made it back in time to really make sure that I could deliver a message and actually help them raise over $20,000. So definitely happy to be able to contribute like that. And so I would say the moral of the story is that, I kept rolling. So we have to keep moving and keep mixing, our goals with our passion, as well as mixing some fun in there so that we can sustain, and this is all happening while we're doing summer fun. So it's very, very important. And I have to admit that it's working. And of course, one of our mottos is don't abandon your dreams. Don't abandon our dreams, chasing good times. Incorporate it all, that work-life passion, fun, integration is what we're going for. And I also want to tell you that I am honored because this year I was actually selected as one of the Black Enterprise 100 Modern Men of Distinction. And so that's a very humbling honor that I'm happy to have had. And, man, if you want to read the article, then you can go to our Instagram page, CYL series, or at Kevin Y. Brown, and you can go ahead and read the article there. But definitely happy and humbled. And we're going to cut to a quick musical break, and then we're going to bring on our amazing guest who we have here, who was actually a panelist on at the Ambition panel, which is Create Your Life series' first live event. He's a distinguished artist and businessman who's won some awards and who's done some amazing things and is doing amazing things for entrepreneurs who are bootstrapping and making waves. Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown, and we are back, and we have none other than esteemed guest and Create Your Life series, Ambition Starts Fire Sustain panelist, Mr. Todd Wahnish. Todd, please say hello to the Create Your Life series family.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. Kevin, thank you so much for the invite. And, man, congratulations on all the success you're having. It's fantastic to see.
Man, Todd, thank you so much, man. You know, to be honest with you, you are the first guest to be, actually the first panelist to be on the show since the panel, man. So once we had that first initial conversation at the coffee shop, I was like, dude, you have to be on my panel and you have to come on my show, man. It was just so amazing, dude.
You called me on a good day, I think.
Nah, dude, you're pretty phenomenal, man. So I just gotta ask you, you know what I mean, just for the audience, for our listeners, how did you feel about the Ambition panel, and you know, what were some of the takeaways that you got from it?
I thought it was fantastic. It was incredible to see the community come out and support. And after talking to so many people that were there and finding out that there really is a demand for people who want to escape kind of the daily life and actually move into entrepreneurship and start their own businesses, or at least pursue their creative passion. So it was really interesting to see people come out and talk with them. And my biggest takeaway, honestly, was that there are a lot of good people out there that really struggle they have that internal struggle with trying to decide whether they need to stay on their current path or change direction or follow their passion and kind of cut the cord to whatever they're doing now. It's a very difficult thing. So when I see people that come out and support the ambition stuff, everything, it shows that there's demand out there for that, and it shows that there's passion out there for that.
Okay. Now you talked about cutting, you know, deciding when to pivot, I guess we could call it, right? Some people are like, oh, should I keep doing this? And so they're asking those questions to people who are experts like you.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the best quotes that you actually dropped at the panel was, you don't build stuff to sell, you sell stuff to build, or something to that degree.
It's the quote that I like to use that I kind of burned into my brain is that amateurs make something so that they can sell it, and pros sell something so that they can make it. And this is something that I learned. I was really lucky and fortunate enough to do an apprenticeship under Jeff Koons, who's he's like the most successful artist in the world since Andy Warhol.
Right.
And this is something that I had come to on my own, learning through tons of mistakes.
Right.
But when you see somebody at the highest level do that, you're like, it solidifies it. It's like, okay, it's not just me that sees it. Clearly, you know, if someone who's that successful is doing this, then it's something that you should follow. And the reason you want to do that is because what ends up happening most often is that we come up with an idea and we fall in love with the idea so much that we get blinded to the fact that other people haven't bought into it yet.
Right.
We just instinctively know that there's somebody out there that's going to love my thing, and if I just do my thing and put my thing out there, that somebody is going to buy it. I just know it because I need it so bad. That means the rest of the world needs it bad, and that's not often the case. So we tend to then ask some people, maybe we ask friends, maybe we ask family, maybe we even do a little bit of customer development and actually ask random people, hey, would you buy this thing? And we just get a confirmation bias. You know, people don't want to hurt your feelings, they want to support you. Or people don't know what they want, so they think they might want that. So everybody says yes, and then you put all your hard-earned money into it. You put months and months, if not years of your time into it. You launch it to the world, and then nobody buys it. And then you're like, what the heck happened? Like, why isn't anybody purchasing this?
Right.
Right?
So what would you say are some of the keys or some of the ways that you can make sure that I would call that building in a tunnel to an extent, right? Or you're building and you're working on something, but you're doing it in a tunnel with tunnel vision and you're not aware of what's going on outside. What are some of the ways to avoid that?
So there's a few different ways to avoid that. The first is don't listen. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not working in a tunnel is building in a vacuum. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Building in a vacuum, working in the same thing. It's tunnel vision, right? You need to, at first, it's okay to put your ideas out there, but you need to put them out there in ways that are lightweight. You know, this is why you see a lot of people put blog posts out there, right? The smart marketers out there are actually testing ideas, you know, and we have data now. So it's like you can put an idea out there, you can put a podcast out there, you can put a blog post out there. You can start to build an audience for what it is that you think you want to do. And the main goal that you have is that you have to eliminate the idea. Ideas are the worst things. They're tyrannical. And we're cursed with being told by everybody that all you need is a good idea. And that is why 90% of all businesses fail, because it's really not about you. It's not about what you want.
Right.
You can come up with an idea and plant the seed out there in the universe, and you can even build a huge audience. But it's not up to you to decide what those people want. It's up to them. So you got to listen to once you build that audience, you have to be able to listen and put your own ego aside and say, what do these people want? You know, I can attract tons of people, but I have no control over what it is that those people actually want. So you need to put that aside and then really do some research with the people that you attract, and then talk to them, whether one-on-one or in groups or through email or however you want to keep communication through social media. And then once you have built that rapport, you can actually then say, okay, well, guys, what do you think about this idea? You know, and some people will say yes, and then it becomes a matter of scale.
So, Todd, what has been one of your successful examples of basically getting people to buy in before actually going out and building the product?
So a recent one would be a project that my wife is my co-founder, Melissa.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, I'm sure. I know everyone's like, you're married to your co-founder?
Yeah, man.
Ooh, you know, they expect all these juicy stories. So what she is she's a CTO, she's a developer, and she's phenomenal. And we ended up having a problem back in the day when she was learning how to code, and I had learned how to code. And that was that there was a big gap between learning how to code and getting that first job. Yeah. Right? So we knew we had that problem, but we didn't know if other people had it. And so I had learned through multiple mistakes. So we're not just building this thing. We gotta find out if really people want it. So we built an audience for it over the course of really slow, honestly, really passive over the course of a year or two. Because we didn't, you get burned so many times. You're just even though we've had it work for clients, we've had it work for other people, and we've tested this 1,000 times, you're always a little gun shy when it comes to yourself. So just take it easy, take it slow. And sure enough, we launched it. We launched a course based on what she was working on early last year, and it was a success. And it was a success because she had nurtured her group, and she had listened to her group. And then instead of just going out and building something, we tested it. We segmented off a small portion of her list, only 50 or 100 people. Really small, cut them out, I just sent them a personal email, said, hey, really appreciate you being, part of the community. We're thinking about launching something new. Would you check this out? And we just directed them to a Google Doc. And the Google Doc was just a couple of paragraphs, which was basically a sales page.
Right, sales page.
And so we said, all we ask is two things. Step one, read it. And step two, fill out this really quick survey. And so percentage of those people, not all of them, of course, but a percentage of those people went, they read the Google Doc, they read the sales form that we had written, and then they filled the survey out. And the very first question, this is something that people don't do, and I don't understand why they don't do it. There's a million questions you could ask, right? Oh,
absolutely.
What else would you like? If there was one thing that if I could add, what would it be? What did you not like? What do you wish I had? Man, my first question was, will you buy this?
Right.
And you know what? A few people said yes.
Okay.
So I sent them an invoice.
Immediately.
Exactly. That night. QuickBooks.
Nice. Okay, so you sent them the
we sent them an invoice, and they paid for it.
And
right?
Is that what funded the actual program? You guys going ahead and putting it in motion?
It was enough validation. Cash is validation. Yeses are not validation. Money in your pocket's validation.
I like that.
And it's also pressure, right? Entrepreneurs, everybody out there that's an entrepreneur, you know this. We all work the best when our back is against the wall. If we had zero sales, if everyone had said, no, we're not going to buy this, we wouldn't have done it. We would have tried something else. We would have split off another 100 people or so from her email list, and we would have said, well, we're thinking about this, and we would have come up with a completely different sales page so that we just keep going down the list until we find something that sells, once you build an audience, right? But once people pay, and it wasn't a lot of people. I think it was 3 or 4 people, it was a couple grand, but they had paid money. So now because we're honest and we're entrepreneurs, we were obligated to do this. We're like, oh man, people paid us for this. We need to deliver this. And we were honest. We were upfront. We were like, this isn't made yet. This is a pre-sale. You got to be upfront. You don't want to lie. You don't want to say, well, oh, this is already made and we're launching tomorrow. We were very honest about it and just said, well, this is a pre-sale, but if you get it now, you're going to get it at a crazy discount. And we're going to talk to you people directly. You guys will be in on the inner circle of it, and we'll actually solve your problems while we build the course. So this course will be tailored to you specifically, right? One-on-one. So that's not something you really get if you ever see courses or any other digital product on there. Usually if you're working with a team or working with the founder or working with the person who created it, that's thousands and thousands of dollars because your time is only so limited.
Right.
Right. So it was an opportunity for us to say, no, this is a huge deal. We can give you guys mentorship. In return, we want your feedback. We want your insight. We want your testimonials. We want you to be really involved with the course.
Wow.
And then we did that. Once we got the yes on that, we went ahead. We had two options. We could have just stuck with those few people and just built it specifically for them, or we could have launched it to the rest of the list. And what we did is we decided to launch it to the rest of the list. So we went ahead and did a bunch of pre-sales, got enough to make us do it.
How many people would you say that you guys were able to pre-sell to after those initial 3?
It wasn't, that's the thing. People tend to think you need a lot of people. We had, I believe our first sale, we had about like a total of maybe 15 people. But this was like $1,000 course.
Right.
And we gave them a couple discounts here and there, and we were trying a bunch of different things with urgency and scarcity.
Right.
So there were
very
different
important.
price points, right? So it's hard to say like who came in at what level. But it made us 5 figures in 10 days.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, now we got to. Now I guess we're obligated to do this.
Right. Well, you can't be mad at that, man. And that's an immediate.
Honey, I know we were supposed to take a vacation, but can we work while we're on tour?
On vacation? Yeah. Man. So that's a whole other beast right there. Oftentimes I hear people talk about relationship balance, but dude, you are literally, your wife is your co-founder. So how do you guys decipher between or put that hard stop on when you guys are talking about business and then when it's just your time and how do you guys do that?
We did it began very organically and very naturally. We didn't make an actual decision that said, okay, we're going to be business partners. It just sort of flowed that way. Over time we have specific rules. So we have an internal rule that says no business before breakfast. Because every time we wake up and something's on our mind, it doesn't matter who it is. If I say something or she says something, without coffee, like, it's over. We start getting on each other's nerves real quick.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that being said, how long have you both been business partners? Because you guys have been together for how long?
Oh, man, now you're going to get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
If I don't remember this. Okay.
Well, change the subject. So, how long have
our
you guys
first
been in business?
Our first date, my wife made it easy for me. Our first date was 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
And then we got married 9, 10, 11.
Wow. See, I like her. She's smart. You should have brought her with you, man. So,
or was it 6, 7, 8?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
See, she even put it in my ring.
Oh, see? That's
put me
smart.
on the spot, man. I don't know. I'll look at that later.
Dude, you are funny. So
you know she's gonna kill me, right?
Yeah. Hey, when
that's about
when we
love.
talked,
It's not about Kevin. When you're in love, as much as I'm in love with my beautiful, amazing wife.
Yes.
The days just don't matter.
Yeah.
It's just every day is amazing, and just it's like you've been with her your whole life.
Right. I'm just staring off into the sunset right now. Right?
Birds.
Yeah, exactly. The birds.
Yes.
The birds. Oh, the notebook. Oh my God, dude, you are so crazy. So, like, how long were you guys together before you decided that, okay, we can actually have a personal relationship and a work relationship together?
Again, it happened really quick, and it happened really naturally. I mean, honestly, so obviously when we were first dating, she had her own job, and I had my thing, and I was doing animation and toys and all kinds of stuff. And I just needed somebody. I needed help, and she was beautiful, and she was my girlfriend at the time. So I said, well, you want to help me? And honestly, it just started like that. And this was before tech and startups and everything like that. So I was in charge of the business side of things and the creative side, getting all that stuff done. And she was helping with just organizing and scheduling and all the stuff that I am horrible at.
Okay.
And honestly, man, that was something on a personal note. That was something that I had personally always looked for, because being an entrepreneur or doing your own thing, it takes someone really special to understand that, and it's very hard to find, because there's a lot of people that say they can do, oh, he's an entrepreneur, she's an entrepreneur, I totally support him or her. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, when you don't have rent money, when you literally have $3 in the bank account, and your spouse or significant other is not saying, "Go get a damn job," right?
Yeah.
That's when you know who that person is. That's when you know that person's going to stand by you, because she could have easily said, "Go get a job,"
Right.
and she didn't. Instead, she said, "I support you. Let's just get through this and let's go."
Wow. Now, did you see that in her from the beginning, that she would support you no matter what, or like how was that?
I mean, in the beginning, when you're dating someone, not completely. You know, you're dating someone, so
Right.
it really is about similar interests and love, and trying to find if you guys are actually like
Compatible?
It's compatibility.
Yeah.
But once she was in the studio, I did whatever I could think of, not to test, because that makes it sound like it was a planned thing.
Right.
But just to see if she would put up with the way my life was, and inviting her into that roller coaster is very difficult. You get the highs of a great job or a good sale or something, and then you get those crazy lows. So it takes a very special person to do that, and to be with you when you go through that. So we just rolled with it together, and I saw how she responded to the highs and how she responded to the lows. And likewise, she did the same with me. She saw how I responded to the highs and how I responded to the lows.
Yeah.
And we both remained stable, both emotionally and mentally and physically and everything else. We didn't break. So that made it stronger. And then as time went on and we moved into technology, we both made by that time we were partners. Even before we were married, we were partners.
And the funny part about that is you're a trained fine artist and your wife is a voiceover actress and actress, correct?
Yes, that's true.
And now you guys both live location independent if you choose to.
Yeah.
And literally can work from wherever you want, launching and running these tech companies and doing mentorship and all of these things.
Yeah. It's amazing. You tell people say, "Well, what do you do?" And it's like, man, that's like a 30-minute conversation.
Dude, hey, and I will tell you this.
There's so many twists and turns, and it's organic, but if you just talk about it, it's people just are like, how, what, how, who are you? Like, what did this do? Like, to go from animation to toys to comics to Marvel to, fine art in the Whitney Museum and working with the best people, and then startups. Like, how's that work?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you just named like 7, 8 things right there. And you're originally from?
I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida.
Exactly. And then you went to college in?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Exactly. Which school?
Atlanta College of Art.
Exactly. Well, I'm like just probing you for questions right now, like setting you up, because I went to Clark, Atlanta, so we have this like Atlanta connection. So, dude, we're going to come back after a commercial break, a quick musical break, and I want to talk more about you getting to the point that you're at now.
Sure.
Because I know there were some days that you've told me about, where you're sleeping. Did you say that you took a shower every 3 weeks or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to know how that worked out, and how it is that you pivoted, because earlier in the conversation you talked about people coming up to you at the Ambition event and saying, should I pivot, should I this, should I that? So we definitely want to understand more about why you decided to pivot and how you even got your understanding of that life is about more than just being an artist. You got to know the business.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, beautiful people, if you have a question for Todd, please call in 212-650-6903. We're going to cut to a quick musical break and we will be back.
Hi, I'm Diane. I have a daughter, Nikki, and she's a senior at high school. She just got accepted for early decision into college. Prior to taking Kevin's program, we were pretty overwhelmed because her college debt after her merit scholarships looks like it's going to be about $150,000 in 4 years. Feeling pretty overwhelmed about that $150,000 potential debt, I decided to enroll in Kevin's debt-free college academy full course program. And I have to say the value for the money for what we got out of the program was absolutely amazing. Kevin takes you step by step with many, many different tips and many different strategies for not only the student, but for us as parents, for our student, things that we can do to really help save money and prepare.
If you or your child are looking to save money on college costs, sign up for Debt Free College Academy today at debtfreecollegeacademy.com using coupon code FREECOLLEGE.
Soundtrack courtesy of Purple Planet Music.
Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown, and we are back. We are back with Todd Wahnish, who is an amazing artist and entrepreneur, founder of Arting and so many other ventures. Todd, before we left, you were actually telling us about your training as an artist. You said that you went to Atlanta College of Art and Design.
I did.
And tell us, how did you make it even up here from New York? You're originally from Jacksonville, Florida.
That's right.
Then you went to Atlanta, and now in New York. Tell us about that journey, getting your degree.
Yeah, so raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and the art bug bit me pretty hard. I was a comics nerd, and still am. Hardcore comics nerd. Best medium on earth.
Okay.
I could talk hours about that. But I knew that if I really wanted to pursue what it was that I wanted to do, which was to really make it and to make it a part of my life, a permanent part of my life, and not just a weekend thing.
Make art a permanent part
a part of my life. That I was going to have to make moves, and I was going to have to leave that hometown and do everything I could to get up north, because New York City is the epicenter of art in the world. And ended up landing in Atlanta. It was, my mother was a single parent and single income, so we didn't have a lot of money.
Right.
So Atlanta was about as far north as I could get.
Yeah, at the time.
And it was okay. It was like a big city, so it had that really good urban big city feel, and it was far enough like no family could get to me. Right?
You just said that your first apartment was in the underground, but back when the underground was a little more dangerous.
that was later. My first apartment was in something called the U-Haul Lofts off of, I think it was like North 10th Street.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so it was a raw warehouse, raw. They just would rent out space. They ended up demoing that, and I think it's like now a shopping area or some luxury apartment thing.
Wow. Okay.
Dude, living hard, man. Living hard. Living and making your own rooms, making your own beds out of wood.
Hey, man, I feel like, everybody has that story where, you know what I mean, you've done some stuff that was just unconventional, but you're just like, you know what, I'm sticking to the script. I'm going to make this happen.
You have to. No one else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You if you don't pay your dues somehow, then you're not really going to, I don't believe you're going to make it that far. You got to have some hardship. Everybody has pain. Everybody suffers in their own unique way. Everybody. We tend not to be able to see it because we think money hides things. But everybody suffers. So if you're going to suffer throughout your life, if you're going to go through that pain of being who you are, you might as well get the reward for it.
Right, and get the reward that is self-fulfilling.
100%.
Wow. Okay, so you go to the A, you attend ACA, and then you come up to NY. What is New York treating you like? How does that look? How did you get here? What brought you here? Like what?
Well, so I first got to New York in '97.
Okay.
And when I got up here, I was homeless.
Okay.
So
you 20-year mark now, man.
Yeah. No, well, no, it wasn't straight. I ended up going back to Atlanta, staying there for a few years. That's when I did all the Cartoon Network stuff.
Okay. Right.
Right, because I graduated in '98. So this was like my junior year. I came up to New York in '97. It was supposed to be a quote-unquote semester, but I had problems in Atlanta. I had gotten, one of the things that had attracted me to that school was they had an opportunity. It's like, well, your junior year, you can actually go to another school. You can go to another college and pay the tuition of your home school. So I was like, well, that's it. I can get to New York that way. I was hardcore, just got to get to New York City. When it came to be my time, when it came to be my junior year, I had a bunch of teachers and professors who I thought were my friends and thought were my supporters, went behind my back and told the dean that I wasn't qualified, that I shouldn't go. And I had the grades for it. I had the attendance for it. There was no other reason other than jealousy. They didn't think it was an opportunity. There was no reason for them to say no. So I marched into that dean's office and I just gave an ultimatum. I said, well, I'm going either way. I said, you have two options. You can let me go and I will come back to the school and I will give you more money. I will finish paying my tuition to the school and everything is good. We're all groovy. Or I can leave and just take that money and spend it in the city, and I will call every single newspaper and Creative Loafing and everything else and let them know that you stopped me. or you tried to.
Or you try to.
You
I
tried
like
to.
that. See, that goes.
And
yeah.
she, the dean at the time, I'm not going to mention any names here, but the dean at the time, how dare you threaten me? I have outraged, blah, blah. Man, don't you know she let me go?
Yeah, man. Hey,
A lot
find
of
a way to make
bluster,
one.
but I got up there. And so it didn't matter. So I got up. I got up here, but I had no money. I knew nobody. I was homeless. And I mean homeless. So I went off of Fifth Avenue and found, they gave you, basically the program gave you a little bit of art space. It was 5 feet wide by 10 feet deep. I could touch both sides of the walls. And it was just, it wasn't to the ceiling. It was like a half wall because it was just a studio. It was like a little small studio space. And so I couldn't let anybody know that I didn't have any money and that I didn't have a place to live. So I went off of Fifth Avenue and I found a bunch of cushions that were, people throw out really nice things. And so there was cushions from a couch, and I dragged that back, and I built a little desk to hide my suitcase and all my stuff. And I would just wake up. I had a little alarm clock that I brought from Atlanta, and I just would set it, and it would go off at like 6 a.m. So I made sure to tidy up the place and hide everything, make it look like I had just gotten in early. And that was the thing. And it didn't have a shower. It had a bathroom, but no shower. So I was just working. And every few weeks, it was about every 3 weeks, I'd go down to what used to be the Carmine Recreation Center in Lower East Side, and talk to the wonderful people there, and take a shower and stare at the Keith Haring mural that they still have there. And it just kept me focused.
Wow, dude, that's a amazing story. So once you did this, you did the internship or the transient student program. What happened next?
I went back to Atlanta and graduated. I kept my word. I said she let me go, so I stayed at the school and finished. And after that, to be quite honest, my original path was comic art.
Yeah.
Hardcore. And right when I graduated was about when the market tanked in comics. A lot of the main guys had left. They'd started their own company. I mean, it was a huge boom time and then a drop. And so all of a sudden, something that I had put my 10,000 hours into was no longer viable in terms of, being able to pay rent. And I wasn't trying to, you don't say I want to be a comic artist and think you're going to make money out of it. But you did, I got to eat. A little selfish in that I need to eat food.
Right.
So fortunately, I had a roommate at the time who had just come back. We were all looking for work at that point. It was a bunch of us, like 7 of us. And a friend of mine, Andre, had just come back, and he had tried it in with a bunch of animated cells. It was like Sylvester and Tweety Bird and all this kind of stuff. I was like, dude, what is that? It's like, man, I got myself a job. Job doing what? What for what? What is this? Well, at the time it was Cartoon Network. And Cartoon Network, that was right when Cartoon Network started launching. 98 was basically when they started.
I remember watching Cartoon Network when I was a kid, man. It's so much good stuff.
So I hustled, and it took a lot of time. I went in and talked to one of the producers there, and all I had was comic art samples. And they said, well, we're not hiring. I said, well, can you give me something just to let me practice? And so they gave me a test packet that they had at the time. And I went home, and in a true kind of fake it till you make it, I couldn't get it was an ink test, and I couldn't get the lines to work correctly. So they had given me samples of like what it should look like. So I basically traced that and then made it look better than that. Just like I could see where the mistakes were. So I brought it back the next morning, and they said, man, we've never had anybody do that and turn it back in 24 hours. I said, well, I need this job because I really needed a job.
Right.
And I said, well, we don't have anything. And then from that point on, I just called them every single day.
Yes, that is the key to the path, man. When I wanted to,
I just wore them out.
Yeah.
I wore them out, and honestly, man, it took about a month and a half, and it went from, hey, this is Todd. Do you have any work? What? No. Okay, cool. When can I call back? I don't know. Next Wednesday? Awesome. I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Called him back next Wednesday. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Oh, hey, who is this? My name is Todd. Is there any work? No, sorry. And I just did it. When can I call back? Next Wednesday. Great. I just kept doing that. And over the course of time, it really became, hey, Jim, this is Todd. Oh, hi.
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's this guy again. And it got to the point where I could hear him like take the phone away and from his head and just be like, it's that Todd guy calling. Can we just give this dude some work? Because he's like bothering me. Is there anything we can give this guy? He's not stopping.
Yeah.
And that's how I got in. And then I just didn't leave for 6 years.
Cool. So you've had the opportunity to work for Cartoon Network. You work for Jeff Koons. You work for Marvel. Just to name a few of the places that you've had the opportunity to work with. Where would you say that you learned the most from? Which opportunity, and which one kind of gave you the free range to create and, just fully grow?
Well, the most opportunity has always been my own thing. Anytime I launch a product, anytime I launch anything, because it's an opportunity to grow.
Okay.
I can't know the future. I can't decide. I can't say whether something's going to succeed or fail, and it always has to succeed or fail on its own merits. You can only push so hard. So that in itself is the most educational thing. That I love learning, and I love learning from my mistakes. And over the course of time, you can track your mistakes and you can track your successes. And it just got to the point after years of doing it that you just eliminate all the stuff you did wrong and you remember all the things you did right. And you say, well, maybe if I do all the things that I know have worked in the past, if I put that together on this next project, maybe that'll work. And a lot of times it does.
What were some of the most important things that you learned while working for Marvel or Jeff Koons?
So I would say one of the most important things, I'll give you a couple. And it was really, the first is actually from my first mentor, who was an R&B music producer who did a lot of stuff for Jennifer Lopez. And he was incredibly helpful. If without him, I don't know where I would be.
Okay.
He was the one that broke me out of the art mode, because I was under the impression for most of my life that if I just did the work and I was the best craftsman, if I was the best artist, that's what people wanted, right? And I got really good at that, but I had zero business knowledge. So he came in and kind of basically took me out of that, away from the desk, and started having me call people and talk to people. Because at that point, I had a cartoon image of what business people were. You know, I thought it was like, men in black, suits and ties, pork bellies and gold, buy, sell. I had no clue. It never occurred to me that business people were just people like me who just were trying to do things. Like, as basic as that is, I just had never been exposed to it. I was surrounded by artists. So the first thing that he taught me was, whenever you're trying to do something on your own, you don't join the party, you be the party. Okay. Right? You need to be the center. You need to put the spotlight on yourself. And when you do that, you can then see who is attracted to that.
And how do you do that? How does one make themselves the center of the party?
Oh, there's a million ways, especially now.
Give us two.
Especially
Give us
now.
three.
Now, honestly, things like this, talking to people, putting your work out there, generating that audience, going on social media and actually putting not just random things up, not pictures of food, unless you're going to be, unless you want to be a restaurateur, like actually dedicating something to your craft and pushing it out there. The work has to pay for itself. Business for me is about taking my art, taking my craft and pushing it out. And to do that, I have to be good at business on some level.
I want you to touch on something that I think people need to understand. And you talked about, putting yourself out there, putting your work. You went through a startup accelerator program. How important has that been for you in the success that you and your wife have been able to amass as both artists turning business entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so my wife and I were incredibly fortunate to be part of a program called the Startup Leadership Program. And it's based here, it's based here in New York for the New York chapter, but it's global. It's all over the world. And for me specifically, it changed my life because before that, entrepreneurship and creativity is an incredibly lonely process.
Yes, sir.
It's basically you doing whatever it is you do by yourself, usually at first, with nobody else. And honestly, when you make the attempt to bring other people in, a lot of times that can work against you because they might not understand what you're trying to do. They might want to support you but don't know how, or they just don't support you at all and think you should just get back to real life.
Right.
Like, who are you? And so by being a part of this group, it allowed me to meet other people really for the first time on a professional level, that were in the same boat and were open about the problems they were having. And that's the other thing, is that whenever you're in a group or whenever you go to meetups, especially, if you're going to a business meetup, you ask someone how they're doing and they say the same thing. Business is awesome. We're crushing it. We're just
Right.
doing great. People don't usually say, oh man, my business is on fire. And I think being able to be a part of that, being able to be in a room with people who say, how's business? Man, not so good. Really? Me neither. Well, what's happening with you? Well, this. What's happening with you? Well, that. Being able to actually come into to almost like a safe space for entrepreneurs and being able to share what it is that you're going through. And honestly, also being a part of a group where that somebody in that group has had the same problem you've had and has solved it. So it's just a matter of finding that person and getting insight from them. So I think that that's one of the most important things.
Okay. You're building and you're doing some amazing things. Something that you recently launched is Clever Era.
That's right.
Which is an initiative, because I think that, having the opportunity to be so fortunate to be in a program like SLP, you're giving back. And, of course, you're also serving your customer. But Clever Era seems to be helping bootstrapped entrepreneurs build businesses, even if they don't have the idea together, the capital, or the technical ability. So
That's right.
Tell us more about that and how we can actually be a part of it and,
Yeah, absolutely. So the way this came about is that I've worked with a lot of technical entrepreneurs for the last year and a half, 2 years, and helped them launch businesses and seen them get funding and seen them be successful. And it just dawned on me and my wife, Melissa, that we really should bring this to people who are like us. We've got something that works. We've proved it multiple times. But we really want to spread the word about it and help people who are bootstrapped, people who are independent or self-funded, help them change their lives and get them past the biggest barriers, which is that they feel like they need to have an idea, which, as I explained earlier, you don't. Or you need to have money, which I also explained, you don't. You
Right.
pre-sell it. Or that you need technical ability, which you don't. In fact, you're the business owner. Your job is to do the business. And
Right.
if you have people pre-sell, if they pre-buy it, then you hire the team. So it's about showing people that it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have that idea, as long as you have the willpower and the drive to do it, you can crush it. It just takes time, and you got to be patient with yourself, and you got to do the work. So it's Clever Era, CLEVERERA.com, and you put your name and email in there, and we're gonna get back to you. And this is something that we're gonna be launching really soon. And honestly, it's just essentially what you have to remember is that whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you want to be, you just got to remember that people won't pay to get into heaven, but they'll pay plenty to stay out of hell.
Okay. So, Todd, give us 3 things that you would tell somebody looking to create their best life.
3 things. To create your best life, trust yourself.
Okay.
Focus on what it is that you do. Realize that, and I'll give you a big one. And this sometimes gets me into trouble, but it's absolutely true, and it needs to be said.
Okay.
And that is that we are trained as people to live a certain type of life. Your parents teach it to you, and it doesn't mean they're mean. They everyone wants to be safe.
Yeah.
What do they say? Go to school,
Get a job,
pay your bills, and then
Right.
maybe you come home, you binge on
Have a
Netflix,
family.
have a family,
Right.
binge on Netflix, get up the next day and do that. And as long as you do that, you believe that you have a certain degree of freedom.
Right.
We think that that's freedom. And it's only when you try to do something else that the world comes to be against you.
Right.
You realize everything that's against you. And what it comes down to is this, is that you only feel your shackles when you try to move.
Right.
You can be that prisoner. You can be there stuck in that life. But it's up to you to realize that that's what it is.
And also, I think that feeling the shackles, you can either feel the shackles and stay put, or you could say that taking action is the only way to break them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I like that, Todd. So, Todd, how do our listeners, Create Your Life Series family, stay in contact with you? Social media, email, if they have any questions, anything like that?
I want everybody listening right now to just look at me for a minute. Just look at me on the radio right now. Just go to that website, cleverera.com, CLEVERERA.com, and put your name in and put your email in. And do it now. I'm telling you, I know everybody out there's like, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
I'm in the car. Well, pull over. Just put your email in there.
Right.
Because you got to take action. You have to start taking action, and you might as well do it today. And honestly, that's literally the minimum you can do is just by putting your email somewhere.
Okay.
Start it. Get it started. Do it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Todd Wahnish here himself. He said, get started today. Take action. CleverEra.com. Todd, thank you so much for being on the Create Your Life series, brother.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man.
Oh, no, we
really
got to get you back. We definitely got to get you back here. So, beautiful people, it's been an amazing Sunday. I'm going to cut to a quick musical break, and we will see you back next week. Beautiful people, if you enjoyed this episode of the Create Your Life series, be sure to download it from our podcast, which is available on createyourlifeseries.com, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Google Music. Also, be sure to leave a review of the podcast. You can catch us live on Sundays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via 90.3 FM in New York or on Facebook Live at facebook.com/KevBrown1. We encourage you to participate in the conversation on Facebook or call in at 212-650-6903. Follow us on Instagram at CYLS Series and at Kevin Y. Brown. Be blessed, and we'll see you back here live next week.
Create your life.
Crée ta propre vie，
Create your life.
创造你的生活。
Create your life.
Crea la tua vita.
Create your life.
Ontsteek jou lewe.
You better create your life.
Create your life.
Create la vie.
Create your life.
Create your life.